Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in with us. If you don't know, I'm Jason, and this is, of course,
Ben.
we just got back from an awesome 12 days out in Europe, where we visited 3 different countries, with a quick little stopover and a fourth in Portugal. But we were out in Paris, Amsterdam, and Zurich, Switzerland. Had an awesome time, and we really wanted to just share our photos and experiences with you. So, if you have any great suggestions, recommendations, or things we might have missed, or anything that you thought was really cool, please leave a comment. We'd always love to, we're sharing our experience, but we always love to hear about your own. So day one of our trip, we flew over into Paris, which consisted of 2 legs. We had to fly our first 10 hours, which was over to Portugal. And that was pretty uneventful. Stopped over in Lisbon for a couple hours, or not even. And then we just changed.
Enough for a quick bite, I think.
Yeah.
Exchanged some currency.
Yeah, exactly. Got some euros. And then hopped on over to Paris around about 5:30 p.m. their time. So it was evening, and then we just checked into the hotel, which we stayed at the Maison d'Astor over in the Madeleine district, the 8th arrondissement of Paris. We were really impressed with that.
Incredible.
And so we checked into the room and decided to go just do a quick walk around the Madeleine.
Yes.
Which was just up a couple blocks up the road from us. Madeleine itself is an old church that was started by Louis XV, finished by Napoleon. And when Napoleon got to it, it was just a foundation. I think there's a portico. He built it to be a war memorial and tribute to the fallen soldiers of their crusades. We stopped, took pictures. That was right across the street from our cafe, which, again, shout out to Cafe Madeleine. Incredible service, really good drinks. We had an awesome waiter. He was a really funny guy. We
definitely razzle-dazzling our drinks once he found out we were tourists there.
We had to keep one of them, or 2 of them, just because they were...
Good memory of him.
Exactly. It was actually
our first night in Paris home.
Yes. We went back to the hotel and we watched a couple episodes of Hometown. Yeah. Shout out to the Napiers for keeping us company the whole time on our trip. It was our little taste of home that we kept going to. So I knew from my previous experience to take a laptop and a long HDMI cable. I used my VPN service, and we were able to get all of our shows and whatnot and stream them to the TV. That's what we did on our first night. The next morning, we woke up slow and...
I still think we woke up pretty early because we were still excited, but...
Yeah.
Because I remember there was still the morning fog and haze on the city, and the sun was still rising and burning it off.
Definitely.
Because when we were on the bridge,
you can see it in all these pictures that are flashing by. That almost like Carl the Fog here in San Francisco. I think we got like 30,000 steps that day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We went all over the city. First, we started off by going actually back over to the Madeleine and seeing it in the daytime.
Seeing if we could get inside, exploring the grounds and everything.
It's still closed for construction and retrofitting. And there was a gate that was open. We didn't know, but we kind of, snuck in, so to speak. And
we had the vibe of you weren't kind of supposed to be in it.
Yeah. From there, it was a quick walk on over through the Louvre Gardens. We walked around the Louvre complex, as you can see. We didn't go inside.
We were too excited to see everything.
So excited to go around the entire city itself. And going to museums because you want to see artwork and you want to see these incredible works. Walk away with some knowledge that you didn't have before.
Because I never realized the Louvre was as big as it was. I kind of thought it was that first section with, the triangle pyramid.
Right, you were blown away.
Did I know with the gardens and everything.
Exactly. Right. But yeah, as I was saying, you want to go into a museum to see things, beautiful things, and learn new things. But however, we felt like we were walking through a museum just being outside on the streets of Paris. This kind of took it all in and made our way slowly on up the Seine River. And, first we stopped over to that cafe right across the street.
We did. We had our first taste of the Le Classique.
Yes, the Le Classique. Yes, espresso with your breads.
Some assortment of breads with usually a salted butter and other jams, and then orange juice.
And orange juice. So yeah, we had a marvelous breakfast across the street from the Louvre. And then we continued down the Seine River over to the Cathedral de Notre Dame, just as beautiful and
grand as you would ever imagine and seen in photos.
Fortunately, it's still under construction and remodel. It will be extensively for years. We're still able to walk around the outside and just see and marvel at all the
gargoyles
work
hanging off. You still got to see a lot of the appreciation of the facade and what was there.
Absolutely. So we snapped a few pictures. We went over Lover's Bridge. On our way there as well.
Without all the locks, since, they had to take it down for structural reasons, but it was still a very special spot. I can see why everyone wanted a lock. And started a new trend of putting more locks there.
Yeah, you could see locks on the light posts and other little places they could get. We opted not to do. I didn't want to, put another one on. I was going to obey those rules. I didn't need us getting locked up in a French prison on our first day there.
You didn't want to spend the time to go find a lock in some store.
Oh, please. All right. Okay. After we walked around the Notre Dame, we made it over to the Latin Quarter, which is just over the river. Beautiful area that is home to the Pantheon.
Troy ended up suggesting it, so we decided to make
shout out to Troy. Thank you.
Joel and Jared also telling us about the Spanish Quarter too. So
yes,
it was fun to,
that's Jared's favorite.
Be able to see.
We went toward the Pantheon over there, and the Pantheon is another cathedral that was commissioned also by Louis XV. Its intended use was changed. I think it was also supposed to be a cathedral, but it's now a mausoleum, and it's another one of those spaces where nothing was left untouched or undecorated. The stonework, the murals, the frescoes, everything was just incredible. Below the Pantheon's main structure is where the actual mausoleum is, and you were able to go down there freely. And so we went down into the mausoleum, and they have a lot of many notable French aristocrats, nobles, and the biggest, how would you say, casket? I'm not sure what it is.
Factor,
yeah, Voltaire is buried there, and that's who we're talking about. He had a very intricate coffin. Correction: Ben is not standing next to Voltaire. However, you will see Voltaire's casket is brown. It's the one with the statue over here. So after we toured the Pantheon, we walked back up the Seine River, again along the waterfront there, and made our way over to the hotel. A quick shout out, we were doing a little spotting of Space Invaders, which, if you're not familiar with Frank Slama, all right, and so
does tile work on facades of buildings, which you can see right here, and then it's usually up sometimes overnight. They'll quickly go. Sometimes they'll stay for a long time. It's just one of those street artist things where you try to catch it as fast as you can.
Yeah, that was really cool to see those. And so we got some rest at the hotel that night, and after
Definitely
because
had a jet lag nap for sure.
Exactly. And so that night we went over to the Eiffel Tower complex, which was an easy walk from our hotel.
Everything was an easy walk.
As you can see, it was all lit up that as it is each night, and a little bit foggy. So we decided not to go up to the top. There was no line, but ultimately
we thought, squirrels in Paris. We kept seeing another grand facade, and we're like, "Ooh, what is that over there?
Right,
oh, what's that?"
Right.
And so we would go chase it all.
Because across the street from the Eiffel Tower is the Palais des Châteaux. I'm sure I just butchered that. It's directly across from the Eiffel Tower, and it's where a lot of people take their pictures. And
it looked like it also had a very grand fountain, but I think just due to the weather and kind of how cold it was.
Oh yes, of course. No, it has its grand phallical fountain out in front. As you can see from this Google Maps view, they knew exactly what they were doing when they built that. It's hilarious. Walked over and up the street and had a wonderful dinner. I got the duck à l'orange. What'd you have that night, honey? Was that the
a pizza.
Buffalo pizza. Yeah,
there we go. Yes.
And we had some drinks, and those drinks are
Passion fruit.
passion fruit, which is delicious. Neither of us had ever seen.
Oh man, I loved it. It was so good.
Passion fruit. And
You're not familiar. It's kind of like a pomegranate.
Yeah, it's like a pomegranate, but with the like mango type flavor. So that now I know what a passion fruit. For years, I thought passion fruit and mango were
Only
actually
saw
the
it on my
same
label
thing.
of my smoothie.
After that, we walked up the street. We were not far from the Arc de Triomphe, and it took us right to our hotel. And so where we, again, enjoyed some more episodes of Hometown and just relaxed ourselves on our feet. Next day, day 3, we woke up and went over to the Place Vendôme, where, of course, it has that famous and giant obelisk-type structure. Another war memorial built by Napoleon. And over there in that area is a lot of fancy shops. It's got the Ritz-Carlton, it's got the Hermes, Chanel, and then, of course, which shout out to Jay, it had a Goyard. Also, some Space Invaders along that route. I eventually found 2 other Goyards, the original Goyards. Again, this is important stuff for our best friend, Jay Bay, that we had to check off the list. And so we made it back to the hotel and made a little point to go exploring on our own. So I personally went back up that Bao Hoffman Street, touring the Parc Monceau Gardens and walking up the Champs-Elysees. Ben,
I had to go see the Paris Opera House.
Yeah.
Ever since I saw Phantom of the Opera, I think back in 2006 or 8. Remember on our choir bus, they played it when we were headed to Disneyland, California. And from then on, it has been one of my favorite movies. I can't tell you how many times I've watched it. So to actually see that theater, the structure, to find out they're actually giving a tour inside, which you can see here. The staircase was incredible by itself. I would have been happy just to see the staircase, to go up and down and then right back out for how stunning it was.
So after we were exploring by ourselves, we met back up at the hotel, rested for a little bit because we were going to trek across the Seine over to the catacombs. We did a Paris catacombs tour, 200-mile long, interconnected working of mines.
Their saltstone mine, limestone mine before it was.
In the 1700s, they started having a problem where in Paris all their cemeteries were getting
flooded.
One of them flooded, and a retaining wall actually broke, and from that, bones coming out into the streets. And so they decided that they were going to relocate
store them, and
6 million people here. And so I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this story otherwise, but that's the basic overall. Who learned it just before she toured it herself. It's so interesting what they did with all these bones and
even
the designs and the
aspects. With the stacking of the skulls and then not femurs, I guess. I'm not sure.
All the bones, different,
but how they were layered and even. Yeah.
You traverse down 5 stories below the street level and to these cavernous tunnels, but the actual section that you're able to view is only a minute portion, and of course, and so you don't feel the creepy, scary, dingy feeling that I thought
it'd be
you
very
were going
heavy, almost sad, but. No.
Yeah, it was more just interesting due to the historic aspect and nature, as well as the technical and logistical complications that would be associated with moving 6 million remains in the dead of night, because they wouldn't do it during the day because that would be too much. They didn't want to scare the Parisians, and so the priests and their laborers would take these, by torchlight from the cemetery. And the priests behind the cart saying their blessings, and they walk this down and into these cavern.
And if you're tall, it's not easy. There's a lot of ducking for me.
It is mind blowing, to think. of them accomplishing this feat. And then they opened up the complex to the public in 1809. And so from there, we made our way back to the hotel. It was a nice little walk. I ended up having to get a taxi.
Walk.
Yeah, it was a long walk. We ended up
a lot further than we thought.
Grabbing a taxi, and I was very insistent that it was a Mercedes taxi, and made our way over to Hotel Costas, which is another recommendation from our best friend, J-Bay. It is a 5-star experience. It's a beautiful, gorgeous hotel, as you can see from the pictures here, and it has a rather famous restaurant in the courtyard where you can just tell that all the big French stars and I'm sure plenty of Hollywood stars have been there. It definitely has that chic
Everyone was
vibe and
there.
feel. Oh my God! I remember this one lady that had her bags from Louis Vuitton and Chanel. She had, big bags sitting next to her. She had like 2 of her chairs at the table, and it's just her. And she has her skinny French cigarette, and she's sipping her martini. And then, the table next to her with those young girls. It was all these beautiful, gorgeous, actually mostly tables filled with women. And
which love their tiny cigarettes with their meal.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Meal.
All of them, the girls in front of us, they were just like chain smoking these tiny little cigarettes.
In conversation
the whole time, and we couldn't understand anything anyone was saying, but we were transfixed on everything. Yeah, And so it was a great recommendation. Thank you, J-Bay. I hope you enjoy that candle we got you. It was so cute that he even put that. He did up this whole email for us. It was absolutely just hysterical. It was so him. It was this long rant, and it was one of those things that when I could, whenever I read it to myself, I could hear his voice.
Exactly,
as we were going through.
Very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, J-Bay. We love you. And so, we had a wonderful dinner that night, sipping our 25 euro cucumber martinis and dining on fantastic French cuisine. Day 4, which was our last day in Paris, we woke up, got ready. We, for our trip, we were going to be
quick walk out again.
Yeah,
some breakfast before the train.
Exactly.
Classic.
Another little classic.
Have a photo right here for you.
And we running a little late to that train. We barely made the 12:19 to Amsterdam. Literally,
a scene out of a movie. We were sprinting, and they kept doing this. We got on, and it literally closed its doors and took off.
Yeah, it was a wonderful train ride. It was 3.5 hours. It felt like one.
Oh God!
It just was like that.
Train. I could travel by train out there all the time.
Yeah, if you haven't had the experience of the Eurorail, it's
quick,
unrivaled.
It's comfortable. It's clean.
Yeah.
It's
now we did have first class cabin seats. So it's like. It's hard to find anything wrong with it, but
for most of our experience and all the the public transportation we did take, even in Zurich and everything, it just seems all the trainways are very
definitely.
Very well maintained.
That is one thing that
Europe travel
absolutely has on us is there's several things, but one that we can't even compete with is their extensive public transit systems, from their buses and above ground rails to their tubes and subway systems, and then their lightning rails. Like this train was traveling almost just under 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It was doing about a $1.80. It was cruising, and so it was really cool. It was a great ride. We went through and saw the French countryside. We got to see the train goes through Belgium. So we went through Brussels and Antwerp before landing, or arriving, I should say, in Amsterdam. That afternoon, around just before 4 o'clock. And so we checked right into our hotel, Monet Gardens, right off the canal.
Beautiful
one of the many canals, I should say. Our room had a gorgeous canal view, especially for Amsterdam. It was well positioned within the canal system, and so we were able to do a lot of walking and whatnot, and that's exactly what we did.
Now, unfortunately, when we first got to Amsterdam, though, we weren't aware of the
Yes,
COVID restrictions.
as far
But the
as
day that we
restaurants.
arrived was when they rediscussed the new COVID laws.
Yeah, the shops were open, but unfortunately there were no museums, no
Museums, restaurants,
major
were
church
closed.
complexes, and that.
Gyms were open, but we didn't hit those.
We got plenty of walking in each day. That's why I didn't feel so bad about missing the gym.
But yeah, so unfortunately, none of the museums were open. So
yeah, we did a lot of walking in Amsterdam, and of course, when you're in Amsterdam, you got to do as the locals do and stop in at a coffee shop and taste, the local delicacy. We made it to Amsterdam, and our first stop is a coffee shop. Hashish and marijuana, as well as you can see, we got a space cake. Oh no, it's begun.
space cake.
When we walked around all the different canal neighborhoods, and of course, you gotta go through the red light district. Not too much on the sex worker stuff with COVID and lockdown, so we just enjoyed ourselves. Went to that main square, and then they also had the
Festival of Lights.
Festival of Lights was still going on. As you can see, different boats that were lit up and other
art feature installations they had all along the canals. It was a great walk.
Anyone that's ever been to Amsterdam knows that they have the gorgeous Dutch-style skinny buildings that
piano hooks.
Really cool just to walk through and feel the history.
It was cool to finally see. I've always heard of the buildings leaning. It's finally fun to see that.
Day 5, we had another restful night's sleep in our first night in Amsterdam. We went to the Old Church, the Palace, the Anne Frank house, and which we were really, really hoping to tour. This time we couldn't get tickets because of COVID, and so
able to see the outside,
which is still very, very powerful. And we just kind of had a really nice day. We went back out walking that evening. It was another day where we got like 30,000 steps in.
Yeah. My ankles, my Achilles tendon, it's still hurting today. I mean, even after Paris, Amsterdam, I was struggling.
And Ben actually wasn't feeling, he was feeling a little under the weather because it seemed like...
ended up catching a cold in Amsterdam.
Yeah. So Ben stayed at the hotel and...
caught up on some hometown. It was very important.
Caught up on some TV. I actually... rented a bike from the hotel and went and explored and saw Amsterdam the way the locals do, and it was amazing. I got to do loops around the canal. Wundelpark, which is kind of like their central park. Lakes and ponds, statues and fountains. It's a great ride around. I stopped out there, and that's where I got this beef croquet lunch that you see. It was my little sandwich and my double shot, my doppio, and just enjoy all the people watching that I was able to do. Came back to the hotel. Ben, you felt good enough. You got up and you went for a little walk.
I did a quick little walk. Definitely wanted to grab some souvenirs too, before we left. So went around and caught up on a few things.
We had tickets to do this canal tour, but that got canceled, unfortunately.
Plus, we would have been out on the restaurants, but like we said, it was always still takeout and order in, so we had to eat in our hotel room.
Pretty restrictive lockdown. So day 7, we're our last day in Amsterdam. We basically just woke up slow, got ready. We had a 12 o'clock flight out to Zurich. And so we
had to hit the coffee shop one more time.
Souvenirs to take with us and
sustenance for Switzerland.
Yeah, so there you go. We got an Uber over to AMS, Amsterdam Airport there, which is a fantastic airport.
Besides their countless COVID checks.
Yeah, all the different checks for your paperwork. I mean,
I don't know how many times you have
at the airport in Amsterdam, headed over to Zurich. Last meal. Checkpoint. We flew on over. We had a quick flight to Zurich. It was just about a little over an hour that we were in the air, and then picked up our Mercedes station wagon. So in Switzerland, we wanted to really explore and get to see that country. Now, this was Ben's first time in Europe. It was my second time, and I had been to Paris and Amsterdam before, but I'd never been to Switzerland. So I wanted to make it a point to actually get out and to have that car and to be able to go and see the different historical towns that we'll get into. I'm the one that did all the accommodations and whatnot because of my Airbnb background. Ben just trust me, and so I wasn't letting us down in any way, except for when it came to check-in at Hotel Utoklum.
All I have to say is Hallmark wants to make a movie out of our story. They know who to contact because it felt straight out of
total comedy. So at first I thought, now I did the night before I was looking at the check-in process, and I noticed that someone put there's no parking at Hotel Udoklum, and it also did say that on the website. Okay, well, it's on top of a mountain. There's plenty of roads, I'm sure, to go leading up to this spot. We can park. We'll find parking somewhere. Wrong. Udoklum is located at the top of a mountain overlooking all of Zurich, the city, and a great view of the lake. How you access it is, first you park miles away at the bottom of the hill, of the mountain. Take this bridge you see over the highway there, up the dirt path, dirt trail a bit. It's probably a 7-minute walk to the first train station. And you board a train there, you take it up 2 more stops. You get off at that station and you walk up the mountain some more on some switchback.
All with your luggage.
All of this we did with our luggage. The hotel.
Covered in sweat, out of breath.
And we get checked in, and the first thing the concierge says to me, "Did you just bring that the whole way?" Because she can see our luggage. You could have called us, and we would have
picked up
you up at the train station. I was like, "Oh my gosh, do not tell me that." I was like, So lesson learned there. And to anyone else now that wants to go visit, be sure to call the front desk. They will gladly come pick you up in the station at the end of the stop. So they're not going to pick you up at the first train station.
Still gotta hike.
At the bottom. You still have to do that much. Checked in, hauled our luggage all the way back up to the top of that hotel. We had a fantastic hotel suite, big giant
that I can actually fit in, which was incredible.
Yeah, we could have sat and soaked in there together. That was a jacuzzi tub for sure, and had an amazing view,
stunning view
out our window there, which you could see. And the property itself was fantastic.
Little winter wonderland on top of the mountain.
It was just, yeah. And we saw a lot of people who came for just one night, where we were there for 4 nights, which
worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. But it's just, so yeah, we had to do 4 days worth of going back and forth.
I see why, because I don't think a lot of people want to do all the hiking every 4 days
just
to go explore the rest of the town.
It's an experience. It's a trek just to get to the hotel. And it's totally worth it because it has a 5-star restaurant there, fondue restaurant. It has a observation tower as well that goes up 5 stories. It's a steel structure. It gives you a beautiful panoramic view of the surrounding city, lake, and valleys. And then the accommodations, if you do stay at the hotel, are just world-class, top-notch. We got comfy at the hotel there, stayed that night. We went back down. There was a store, Migros. Yeah, and so stocked up.
Bunch of charcuterie, a little bit of
Grey Goose and
local
food.
sweets.
Yeah. So the first night, just enjoying ourselves at the hotel. Woke up that next morning, had breakfast in the hotel room, and we had that same feeling as we did in Paris, where we wanted to get out and explore. So we hopped in the car, and we went about an hour southwest to the beautiful city of Lucerne, and immediately parked right next to and crossed across the famous Chapel Bridge, which was built in the 1300s and still has 17th century artwork on the roof. And it's just a very striking structure, as you can see. It goes across the lake. And what was really fascinating also was there was no nails or rivets anywhere. It was all interlocking wood. It's so incredible to see something that was built, like 800 years ago, they're still using today. So we made our way across through the shops and along the waterfront there, and we grabbed a Berliners.
Berliner vanilla creme.
Enjoying Lucerne with our Berliners.
They were absolutely amazing, and then we made our way up over to Hofecker St. Loger, which I'm sure I butchered right there. It's the 17th century church and cemetery grounds. Able to go inside and see the incredible
architecture, the carvings, the facade. And what's really cool here in this photo, how they have it set up, how the sunlight comes in and hitting these statues and actually making these statues glow. It was, when we were there, we would actually see, some cloud cover come in, and so it would go dark, and then they would glow again and dark, and it looked like they were lit up from the inside out almost.
It was very cool.
It was incredible.
It was very cool. From there, we made our way back down to the waterfront, and we snapped a couple pictures, as you can see here. One of the incredible things was just seeing how clear.
All the water was so clear.
Like something you wanted to jump into, except for it was freezing cold outside.
I remember there was a point where we got lunch and we could watch the ducks just diving down. It was that clear.
From there, we walked again along the waterfront, crossed over the Spreer Bridge, which is a 15th century bridge that had death motif artwork all throughout.
Each one had almost like a skeleton. The soldiers were almost skeleton. Nothing. Everyone was adorned with,
as you can see in these pictures.
Yeah.
And so that's where we stopped and grabbed lunch. As Ben mentioned, it was right off the water. It was literally built over the water, so we could look right outside and see the ducks diving down. We had a few drinks, walked around some more, and then made our way back to Zurich. Grabbed dinner and then headed back up to the hotel.
Caught an amazing shot of full moon over Zurich.
Yes, that's what you're seeing right here now. Those are Ben's unedited shots.
Hashtag no filter.
Yeah, hashtag no filter. Next day, so we got a good night's rest. Again, it was a very comfortable room. And decided that we were going to, this time, go down and visit the historical city of Bern, which is it's also their capital city of Switzerland. And what's really fascinating about Bern is that it's an 11th century medieval town that is obviously still a very populated and
running with the old infrastructure.
Exactly, modern mixed with the old city. Which was, that blend is so neat to see.
Part with the whole courtyard, and they had all these storm cellar doors that would open up. And actually, if you would look down, they would have modern businesses, actual baby boutiques, thrift stores. It was super cool to see.
The old neighborhood itself is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its representations of Gothic medieval architecture, and you could definitely feel the history there. But it's a big walled city, and so with many bridges that come off of it, as you can see in these pictures. There's lots of fountains, clock towers, and again that beautiful medieval Gothic architecture. The cobblestone, right?
Fountains in every nook and cranny. It was really fun to see.
Yeah. So we walked around the up top of the walled city, and then down along the base, and then the cathedral there, the Bern Cathedral, which is another 13th century church, and snapped some great pictures. From there, we walked over, had a delicious lunch over at Da Vinci. We were hoping to make our way over to the city of Lucerne, which is about another hour south. But we spent so much time exploring Bern, we decided, just go home. So it worked out. It was
Went
a
home,
great
enjoyed
time.
a nice bath. Watched some more Hometown.
Yeah, Ben got a nice soak in.
Champagne and chips included.
Exactly. We just relaxed ourselves. So because the next day we woke up and had another nice French breakfast in the room, and
Love that classic.
went down to the city of Zurich to explore a little bit. So actually, first we had to get our COVID test, which of course came back negative, and then we went over to the Lindt Chocolate Factory
Lindt.
and toured the chocolate museum, which is the biggest in the world
One of
structure.
the first of many chocolates, but one of the first in Switzerland.
Yeah, one of the big producers
chocolatiers,
next
yeah.
to Nestle, right? And Toblerone, of course. It was really cool to see the history and what it takes, the whole chocolate making process.
Because I believe Lent was the one who ended up discovering the melted
process of milk chocolate, or what we come to think of today as the modern milk chocolate. Yeah, absolutely.
All in the mistake of a hunting trip. He accidentally left the chocolate.
Yeah, he left one of his
running,
machines
and when he came
running.
back, it was finally the perfect consistency.
Yeah, and that's their story of how they stumbled upon their process of making milk chocolate, which is again really cool. As you can see from the different videos, there was plenty of chocolate and syrups to be to there was even that one section that was all you can eat right in front of the all you could eat while you were there.
It was all you can eat.
They also had these cool chocolate dispensers.
They were quite tricky, let me tell you, though.
Let's see what we win.
I think he's got the golden ticket.
Another thing about Switzerland is it is the land of tunnels.
Also, what was cool was driving was their nature bridges.
Yes.
Which they have set up just completely for their wildlife to cross.
So for all the migratory animals that rely on the access to their grazing and breeding grounds, they've been conscious to make land bridges.
Plenty of land bridges and plenty of tunnels. And let me tell you, some of these tunnels I thought were never going to end. Even one point where there was like 5 tunnels and you could see them all zipping off different directions. So the tunnel systems are incredible through all the mountains, of Switzerland.
So after we did the chocolate factory, we went back home. We were feeling pretty worn out from the day, so we just decided to hang. We did some more champagne and charcuterie and just relaxed ourselves because the next day we had to fly out to Lisbon. So that morning we woke up and we got ready nice and slow.
Yeah, woke up at a great time, took our time getting ready. It was great.
We made our way to the airport, returned the rental car, and then we just relaxed in the first class lounge.
Too early though, because our gate wasn't quite
open. We had to wait for and so we had to wait for to check our luggage before we could get into the lounge, right? We got out of the line with the checked luggage, which was we were third in line, and I said, let's just go to a bar and get a drink. It was right there. So there, I ordered one drink, and then all of a sudden, we see they open up for checking. Let's go. I'm not even going to finish this beer. Let's go get back in line. We walk out. There's
hidden line all of a sudden.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how we couldn't see it, but 100 freaking passengers in it, and it was so long. And I'm thinking, oh my god, my blood just starts to boil. Luckily, though,
we were already on top of it. We were already checked in. We had all our paperwork to go, so there was a
line that had no one in it, and it said bag drop off only.
If you haven't flown recently, a lot of people cannot figure their paperwork or have it ready to go or didn't know they needed it.
Yeah, we avoided that line. Luckily, got over to the first class lounge, got situated,
got some drinks, got some good food.
Yeah,
packed some sugar candy for the flights.
Mm-hmm. Took the flight over to Portugal that evening. It was just a quick, I want to say 2 hours, right? It made our way
to the hotel just because we had a long layover. We didn't fly out till 9:55ish the next morning. So
yeah, shout out to Delta for canceling our flight 3 days before we're intending to leave. In turn, I had to cancel the whole trip and book new tickets. Again, this is 3 days before we're leaving. Now, all the best flights are taken or super expensive. We're supposed to originally fly direct routes, but there and back, no layovers. But we had both times have layovers in Portugal because those were the most reasonable flights that I could find. And so we checked into our hotel in Portugal. We thought, and it was a really nice hotel. It was in between the downtown and the airport. But we decided, you know what? We're just going to hang out And
Ordered
just
some sushi
we
in the
ordered
room.
some amazing sushi.
Yeah,
It was actually some of the best sushi I've ever had, which I wasn't expecting. And just stayed relaxed because we had a pretty early flight. We had to fly out at 9:55 the next morning. So we're flying home today. Last meal here in Lisbon. Yay. I can't wait to be back home in my bed. Anyways, it was a quick flight. I mean, or it wasn't a quick flight. It felt shorter than the 10 hours. We got our own rows.
Spread out.
And we were able to be spread out and sprawled out. So made it home safely. And, another really funny thing at the end of our trip, we spent all this time doing all of our vaccination and testing, right? And we walk out of the airport, and what do they have? Free test kits. So it would have been nice to have those on the front of our trip. Anyways, that is pretty much our synopsis of this trip. Thank you for spending an hour with us going
still
through.
listening.
Yeah, I imagine most of you just actually kind of, fast forward a lot of this. Thank you, Mom and Grandy, for watching the whole thing. I hope you enjoyed our pictures and videos, and got to feel like you were there at some points. And we really appreciate everyone who shared their love with us while we were sharing our pictures throughout the trip on different social medias. And so, it was
like home. Home was close.
Yeah, I always felt like home was close. And so, it was a trip of a lifetime, one for the memory books, and we definitely recommend you get the chance, make your way out.
Jason Pape sent you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much. We love you all. Leave a comment if you feel compelled. Bye.